Hallo und willkommen. Ich bin Meister Lenz and you're watching Get Germanized, a Q&A Car of Thoughts episode with two special guests, Kevin and Vlog Dave in the back there.
I am bored. What should I do?
Ah, ich weiß.
Get Germanized.
Last time we answered some of your questions and just had a general discussion around. I think that was more like it actually, because I mean your questions led to us discussing other things, and I believe that's how it's gonna be today in this episode again, and that is completely fine because it was super interesting and hopefully for you as well. And of course we have more questions asked by you on Instagram and on other social media, and we're gonna take that right now. If you want to join my social media, follow my links in the video description. But yeah, the first question would be favorite German band of all time and why? Maybe like a top three. I would say. Let me start by saying Rammstein, probably. I mean, I have to include this, otherwise people will go ballistic if I don't include Rammstein in this list. But that's probably my top one because it's just one of the oldest German bands that I know that I've listened to for a long time already. Top two, that is more difficult because there's so many, probably the Ärzte, the Doctors, I talked about them a lot before. And top three, that is the most difficult, I believe. I mean, I really like the Guano Apes, but they don't sing in German. They are just German, so I'm not sure if it counts. I guess it could count.
Well, a German band, yeah, where the members are German. I think it doesn't matter what they sing.
Okay, so that's my top three. Even though there's many other German bands that I really like as well, that would probably fill the third spot as well. Yeah. But that's just the first one that came to mind now.
For my, Rammstein is definitely in the top three. Subway to Sally.
Oh yeah, that's another one I would have chosen.
Not sure about third spot. I think I have to give it to Kraftwerk.
Kraftwerk, yeah. Autobahn.
Oh, okay. Well, didn't see that one coming.
That's what she said.
Good choice though. A good choice though. Yeah, I definitely agree on Rammstein. It's in my top three. Also, Die Ärzte, the Doctors, definitely. And number three, well, Subway to Sally would be a very good choice. That could easily be number three. But also another band that is related to Die Ärzte is the Farin Urlaub Racing Team, which is a second band of the guitarist and one of the three singers in Die Ärzte. He's the tall blonde guy, by the way. And I like them very much as well because they also have like trumpets and saxophones and stuff like that in the band. And
Saxophone.
Oh yeah, sex hotlines, saxophone. And well, female singers and stuff. So, and it's also really rocking out with a certain metal attitude to it as well. And I can highly recommend that band as well, the Farin Urlaub Racing Team, Die Ärzte and Rammstein. But as the guys have already mentioned, there are many other bands that are really good and really popular in Germany as well. For instance, Kraftklub, Die Toten Hosen, which is similar to Die Ärzte, equally old by the way. I think both bands founded in 1982. Well, Kraftwerk is definitely an interesting choice. And there is another band that don't really make songs in German, but that's also really good, is the Beatsteaks. They're also from Berlin.
Yeah, I love them too.
Like a kind of rock and roll, alternative type of rock music. Really highly recommended, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, there would have been many more that we could have included in this list, and I've made many videos about German bands if you want to check those out. But also let us know your favorite German bands in the comments. Maybe there's some that we don't even know that you can recommend to us.
Umf is another one.
Eisbrecher Umf, yeah.
Eisbrecher Umf. Umf, by the way, is the band that Rammstein like to mention as an influence on them, because first there was Umf and then there was Rammstein. So that's a highly influential band to Rammstein. and very similar in style. Yeah.
Okay, another very interesting question, very original. I mean, relatively original. What would you do if you had €1 million?
$1 million? Mm-hmm. Well, nowadays you cannot live off that million for the rest of your life, so probably try to invest it into something.
You can't live off that because of taxes, right? And shit like that.
Well, in Germany, the rich people tax, you have to basically pay tax of it every year. Mm-hmm. Until you get like below 10k, I think.
Oh shit, I forgot about that actually. That sucks. Well, yeah, so definitely invested, right?
Yeah, invested, like in stuff you already wanted or need for. I mean, like you can invest it in gear for like cameras for the channel.
1 million cheeseburgers.
Well, they are not €1 anymore. They're a little bit more. So
no. What has this world done?
You need 2 million for 1 million.
No. But yeah, what else? Invested is boring, Kevin. That is a boring answer. What would you do with your money?
Yeah, well, invest also means buy stuff. Maybe invest it in some shares from promising companies.
Shares.
Shares.
Oh, shares. I was like, he would invest in chairs. I was like, what?
Yeah. He's a well-known share collector, so as everyone knows.
This golden chair with diamond inlets.
From the 16th century.
Yeah. Yes.
With engravings and stuff.
And then he has this massive warehouse full of chairs.
Yeah. I can totally imagine that.
That would have been amazing. But yeah, shares. A shareholder. You want to become a shareholder.
Ein Stuhlhalter.
Ein Stuhlhalter. Okay.
Good question. I mean, 1 million, I agree with Kevin on that. I think these days it's possible to live with like $1 million for the rest of your life.
Well, if you like the cheap student lifestyle, for example.
I mean, that's my favorite lifestyle.
It obviously depends on your lifestyle, definitely. I think I'd buy myself like maybe like a flat that I own. Or like a house, a little house.
Yeah.
And
that's half of your money.
Yeah. I would definitely set up a studio kind of room or multiple rooms that are pretty much my studio for recording things. Really, really good microphones. We actually just talked about a pretty cool microphone this morning, Vuko and I. We talked about the Neumann
A87 or something? U87?
I think U87. Or something like that.
AI or something like that.
Yeah. Really good brand, by the way.
Not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored, but Neumann, yeah. Good equipment, definitely. And since I like to go to concerts, I guess I'd like to, see many different festivals and pretty much attend every single one of them with that money. And also maybe try to get special tickets for concerts, because sometimes there are VIP packages, for instance, where you can meet and greet the band and the artist in question. So that would be really cool.
Fanboy.
I mean, if I got the opportunity to meet someone like Dave Grohl because of that, for instance, which would be one of my dreams in that sense.
A fanboy.
Yeah, I'm a Dave Grohl fanboy. That is true. That would be totally worth it. So, yeah.
For me, 1 million. Oh shit! What is that person doing? Damn it! Scared me for a second. For me, 1 million euros would be invested. Definitely, half of it probably in also a house, but I would make it so that it's near a bigger city, but in the countryside still. And also, I would try to get it off the grid, so that I could probably plaster the whole roof with solar power, with solar panels, and maybe have like a tiny like windmill that produces energy nearby, because you can buy some of those for your own house, and then have like multiple batteries that store the energy, because they sell those power walls, they're called, for your garage, for example. You can have like 2 in there, and then one powers your whole house already, I think. So I would try to get the electricity off the grid, and maybe, I don't know how I would do it, but maybe something to catch rainwater and then filter that as well, and to have water for free as well and shit like that. But just because, like you said, this money won't last me forever. And why not make it so that you don't have to spend a whole lot of money once you're depleted of that money? So that you don't really have to take a sucky job just because you don't have money for your house anymore. I don't know, that just came to mind, to make it off, be able to live off grid in that house. It would be cool, I think. Maybe have a little garden with like vegetables and stuff like that. I sound like a prepper for doomsday, but that would just be something smart to do, I believe. And with the rest of the money, I would definitely travel the world and also buy equipment for my channel, better stuff. I mean, I have pretty good equipment right now, but for example, what else would I like to get actually? Maybe just multiple cameras of my main camera, so that I can do different angles and stuff like that. Or, I mean, if I had 2 of those, we could have filmed ourselves with a really good camera as well right now. So that would have been cool. Like you said, the really good microphone there would be awesome. Blitzer, sorry. That was just a...
I just saw it.
Speed camera.
It was quick enough.
Okay, cool. Anyway, yeah, that, and invest stuff in shares of companies probably as well. I mean, and then probably the money is gone.
Stühle von Firmen.
Yeah, shares of companies. Stühle von Firmen.
Shares of companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's also something that we fantasized about or talked about. That at some point we might have or like to have a studio that we both could use, like in a different building. So in a building complex, for instance, with many other different studios, and where you can meet other, well, artists and YouTubers and creative people in general. That would be a really cool idea. Apart from the question, but yeah.
No, I agree, and I guess we shall move on to the next question. Is your car automatic or manual? Or let's also expand on that question. Have you ever driven a manual car? I mean, we all have driven automatic. No,
manual.
The other way around. We all have driven manual, but have we all driven automatic?
No,
before?
I haven't.
Really, never.
I mean, I've seen people drive in it, like when I was on the co-seat on the shotgun.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of know how it works.
Kevin, sit on the shotgun.
On the shotgun, yes. I like to live dangerous.
Ready for the shot?
Bell bang.
And but I haven't driven it myself, but I know how it works.
Dave?
No. Actually, I've never driven an automatic car, but I wouldn't mind driving one, to be honest. I don't really need to drive a manual car.
Lazy mode activate.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are many people, to be honest, that I know, many acquaintances and friends that that have told me, okay, I really like to drive a manual car. I could never drive a car with an automatic setting. So, because I like to drive fast, and the feeling of driving manual, that is uncomparable.
I wanna go fast.
And it's unique, and it gives me strength and lets me feel like a man, and you know, masculinity and stuff, and
it's muscle cars.
Yeah, and whatnot. So, but you know, I personally wouldn't mind driving an automatic car, and in fact, I might get one at some point. So, yeah.
I have driven an automatic car before, and it was really confusing because there's obviously one pedal missing, the clutch.
The clutch, yes.
And for some reason they put the brakes there where the clutch is.
No, the brakes are actually on the same spot, right?
No, it was in a... I mean...
They really adjusted that. It's like, instead of like two on the right, it's like one on the right and one on the left.
I mean, it depends on the car, obviously, but it was very confusing because I was so used to having to press the clutch, of course, for example, also when stopping, right? Otherwise the car goes off, turns off. And so I hit like the brakes, like emergency brake, basically, like, And I was like, holy shit, what happened? And, oh yeah, I'm driving an automatic car, shit.
Yeah. I wonder if like automatic cars are built the same in all parts of the world, or if there are differences regarding the pedals and how it's constructed.
Well, actually, I think the pedal position should be universal worldwide, because even on like left side driving countries like England or Japan, the cars where your driver is on the right side, the pedal position is always the same. Gas is on the right, brake in the middle.
And I guess at some part in the, well, more or less near future, the question of driving a manual car versus an automatic car might be irrelevant, because we might have self-driving cars by that point. So.
Very true. I mean, Tesla is advancing the technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
there are actually many...
Tesla is doing that, but he's already made that 100 years. Like, oh man, he's nice. He's really good.
Nikola Tesla, yeah.
Yeah.
In Germany, I think there are many tracks and more tracks of the Autobahn that are specifically used for testing automated cars these days, and especially trucks, I think, and buses, like public transportation vehicles at the moment. And I think that will become very normal in the near future. But right now, I think many people that might have driven their cars for, like, let's say 20 years or 30 years plus, they might not be a fan of the idea of just sitting in a car and not driving yourself, I could imagine. But our generation and the younger generations that begin to drive right now and learn driving, they might have a whole different approach and opinion on that.
I would love it if I just could sit down in my car and it would drive me somewhere. I could maybe work, or I could just relax or read a book or listen to music. And I mean, it will be like that at some point. I think Elon Musk said that his goal basically is that we all kind of share our car as well. So if we don't need it, once we're at home or at work, for that time span, we can rent out our car via like an app system, and our car basically just drives somewhere to pick up some other person and puts them somewhere, like drops them off somewhere, and then it comes back at some point. And then people, of course, said, but what if the person that takes your car destroys something inside or wrecks something? I mean, of course, you can just put all your really valuable belongings somewhere else, like not inside the car, or maybe in the glove box that has like a code lock or something like that, right?
I think if it comes to that, people don't own a car. It's like one city has that many people living there, and they get that amount of car that belongs to the city, and then you have basically to like, I need a car from then to then, and then I'm going to there.
Makes sense, yeah.
They basically you basically order that car, and then that car basically comes then at that time you specify it to your house and then drives you.
I mean, that could work, but also then you might have to wait, right?
Yeah, it's not really. If you spontaneously want to go somewhere, that might be that possible. But like going to work would be like that way.
Yeah. I mean, it would definitely be more efficient. I think. I mean, is of course the head of the company that invents those cars, that builds those cars. But he said, like Elon Musk said, that the car is already, like the self-driving car is already 90% more safe than a human driving the car, because of course it has cameras everywhere and it can just react in a split second, basically, right?
Well, the thing is, the moment, as long as one car on a highway is driven by a human, it's not safe. Every car needs to be automated.
Yeah, I mean, still, the automatic car can react better to the human being an idiot, because it has these fast reaction times that humans just don't have. I think there will be a transition period like we had with horse carriages and cars, where you will find both on the same street for a while, and it will be really weird. And then at some point in the future, everyone will have like a self-driving car. That might be a while, but I still believe that is the future for sure. And I'm looking forward to that future, to be honest.
Same, yeah. I mean, that's a whole topic that we could talk about like for hours, pretty much, because there are many different things we could tackle. Something that is also well, a very difficult point when it comes to cars and transportation these days is the parking situations in many cities, especially in bigger cities. Because I think I saw a documentary about that topic, and it said like over, I think, 70% of all driving spaces and cars and that kind of are parked cars and not driving cars actually. So cities are actually polluted with or by driving cars first and foremost, and traffic cannot really flow all that well anymore. And that's a big problem, especially when you think about well, companies that sell their goods and that have to transport their goods to the customers. And all the transportation vehicles, the amount of transportation vehicles is so high nowadays because more and more people buy more and more things online, which is good, convenient, but then again it also affects the traffic. So there's another topic that is related to that, drones for instance, that might transport things to you, or central buildings where you can pick up your packages and stuff in the future. So it's all connected to many other important and future topics. And also people think like, okay, what if how can the car decide, the automatic car decide on whether it should drive left or drive right when there are, like, for instance, when there's a kid and an old grandma standing on the street, and how should it actually make a decision, an ethic decision, a moral decision, so to speak, because it cannot really think that way like a human being could.
It will probably just break, to be honest.
Yeah, and like philosophers and car developers say, okay, like judicially we could arrange it so that the car is programmed that it will drive left, that's the priority, no matter how many people or who's standing there, and if it can't drive left, it will, well, drive or turn right instead. So it's like a fixed pattern, and it's not a pattern that relies on the context of who's standing where, you know. So but there are many more interesting and difficult judicial topics that are related to that courts and politicians have to discuss about that. Yeah.
Regarding what you said about the streets being convoluted with cars and stuff like that, I think once every car is automatic and solar power, like electric powered, right? It will be less of a problem because the efficiency will be much higher. People won't cut in line and will not create accidents so much to really, yeah, like I said, convolute streets, and it won't be that much of a problem anymore, at least, I don't think, at least. And so the traffic will flow much more, even if there's maybe more cars. Yep. I think that way, at least. I don't know if that's going to be true, but...
Yeah, because they don't really have to park for a long time, and they're like constantly driving, and that is, I think, a very positive aspect of that.
Yeah, and once the battery is empty, they're just going to drive themselves into these docking stations, probably. They don't exist just yet because there's already, I mean, there's still a cable that you have to plug in, but I think it will evolve into being like a docking station, like with these Roomba vacuum robots that you have for your house, where they just dock in automatically at some point.
Interesting question. Do you have, like where you guys live, do you have docking stations for electric cars that you know of?
There's some near us, definitely.
Yeah.
Not too many, but I think if you buy a Tesla car, for example, it will, on the inbuilt map system, it will show you where the docking stations are and where's the next one that you need to go to. Because otherwise you would have too little energy to get to the next one or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that's too much of a problem once they have a system like that in place. Anyway, we talked about that for quite some time now. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, a famous, very popular question that gets asked all the time. Any advice for people wanting to learn a new language? Because Kevin, you are learning Japanese at the moment.
Well, I'm using an app called Duolingo, which is actually really good.
Not sponsored.
not sponsor. Well, it's free, of course.
Yeah.
Well, you can pay for it if you want some offline courses, but you need an internet connection for it otherwise. But yeah, that and well, there are unlimited sources online. You can just search for name of language courses in Google and just click on the first 10 links and read through all of them.
And you know the language, done.
Basically, yeah, you need to get from there, but you need to learn it. Yeah, you need to learn it yourself. You need to have some. You need to put in work yourself. You don't have to. You don't get handed it to you.
Yeah, definitely. You need to put in work. You need to immerse yourself in the language and have it around you as much as possible. You need to speak it as much as possible, because, like I always say, language attrition is a real thing. You will forget the language that you don't use at some point. Like it was for me with Spanish and French. Oh well. Yeah.
¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
Una cerveza, por favor. Yeah.
So Dave.
I mean, it sounds strange when we say that, but it's. I think it's definitely true. We are native speakers and native teachers, which is highly beneficial to you when you want to learn a language, I think. When you have the chance to learn a language from a native, like a native speaker, that's really, really good and a quality option, I think, as compared to just having an app. But it's, of course, it's also a good idea to combine many different learning resources, apps, videos, tutorial videos. For instance, I mean, you know, simple things when you get like a new, let's say a new camera, for instance, and you don't know how it works and you don't want to read the manual because reading a manual is boring, and you'd much rather watch a YouTube video on how it works, and you're already learning a language, you could watch a German tutorial with subtitles, for instance. I mean, it's always a bit tricky when it comes to YouTube subtitles that are generated automatically, because there's a high chance that that might be not as proper, as proper and as
proper. You said as.
But still, I mean, yeah, surrounding yourself, immersing yourself with things, music, books, and many people actually have learned German with bands like Rammstein.
Indeed. I mean, I actually just got a comment by someone saying, "Oh, I only started learning German because of Rammstein."
Yeah. I actually watched many documentaries on Rammstein, on DVDs that they put out and stuff. And I think it was in Russia where people actually attended a concert by them, because they don't really play there too often, but every once in a while. And they are standing there with the booklets and reading the texts, and they actually read the text and sing along to them in German, because they learn, or they have learned some German with the lyrics, which is really, really cool, I think. So yeah,
I always say find something that you're really passionate about, but in the language you want to learn. That makes it much easier to be interested, because for me, like I have mentioned many times, it was just shows and anime and movies and stuff like that in English that I really wanted to read, but my English wasn't good enough. So while watching the show and while reading the book, I always looked up words in a dictionary, basically, while learning, while reading, or while watching it. And because that was very relevant to what I was seeing and what I was interested in, it stuck with me. Yeah. And I was like, I have to remember this for next time, because that will definitely be mentioned again in this book or in this series or whatnot. So I always say find something you're passionate about and use that to your benefit.
Yeah. Another good idea might be, like, if you have a favorite movie and you know that movie by heart because you've watched it like 20 times, watch it in another language. In another dub, for example.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like the first movie I watched fully in English without any subtitles was Star Wars Episode 3.
Yeah. Very good choice, Kevin.
I mean, like, you can watch that in German dub, for example. Unbegrenzte Macht.
And also there's a whole, like, really big dubbing community in Germany, because big blockbusters from the USA and other countries are usually dubbed and get like a voice acting makeover by German voice actors, and there are many really good German voice actors. So if you are interested in learning German that way, that's totally an option. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, that's what it's for, right? I mean, also.
Or listening to German radio stations online, because even though you might not live in Germany and you can't really listen to German radio stations on your radio in the US, you might be able to listen to those via web, like on the website of those stations, via live streaming. So.
Indeed. Another thing that people always want to know is, of course, what's your favorite German movie of all time and why, if you have one, or show.
A German movie.
Yeah, German movie. Doesn't have to be one of the really popular ones. Can also be a more indie one, maybe. I don't know, but it's difficult.
Well, I first have to think at what movies I watch are actually German made.
I mean, for me, a movie that really impressed me was The Downfall, Der Untergang, which is about Hitler.
Yeah.
And Hitler is portrayed by Bruno Ganz. I think he is even an Austrian actor. And he really portrayed Hitler like classy. That is really good.
Classy.
Classy. Like,
you mean
classy,
well? He portrayed him well.
As classy as you can portray Hitler. I mean,
Indeed.
Yeah. That would be one. There's a movie called Anatomy, which
that one is good. Yeah.
Pretty cool. And in a way, although it isn't really a German movie in the first place, but a production like Resident Evil, for instance, the Resident Evil movie, the first one, is produced by Bernd Eichinger. You might be familiar with that name because he was a pretty popular and famous German producer. I think he died in 2011. And also there is a very famous German actress in that movie, Heike Makatsch. I think she also appeared in many other American productions, as well as Diane Kruger, for instance. Yeah, but to be honest, most movies that I watch are like, well, Hollywood movies and movies from other countries, but not necessarily German ones. There is a German movie series. It's pretty hard to describe because it's actually a show, but each episode of the show is made like a movie when it comes to production standards and stuff, and the length of them, because they are like 1.5 hours long each episode. And that show is called Tatort.
Oh yeah.
Which is
I was like, what show is he talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, Tatort, yeah.
Which is a German crime investigation series or crime investigation show with many different teams, investigating teams in many different cities. For instance, Cologne, Dortmund, the Ruhrgebiet, and also Berlin, I think, Hamburg. That's well, many episodes of that series are really cool and well made as well, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And also another movie, Das Experiment.
Oh yeah.
Is really well done as well. I mean, it has a Hollywood cover by now, I think, as well, right? Mm-hmm. But I really think the German one is better, and it's really good. You should watch that one too.
When it comes to funny movies, kinda, or like comedy type-ish movies, I think I would recommend Der Schuh des Manitou as well.
Oh well, yeah, okay.
Which was, I think, produced in the early 2000s, which is, or it features many well-known German comedians and actors like Sky Dumont and Michael Bulli Herbig, who also worked as the producer, the director of that movie, and that's rather like a fun little movie.
That's typical German humor right there. Like that's what so many Germans are into. But for me, it's a little bit. I don't know. It's just a bit. It's not. I don't think it's that funny, to be honest. I don't know, but maybe it's just not my type of humor.
Yeah, I mean, I think I really liked that movie back in the day. I don't know if I would like it, well, as much these days. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember that I liked it back then. So I don't know.
Anyway, let us know about your favorite German movies in the comments below. That should be probably the end for this episode. But if you enjoyed this one, leave a like, subscribe, And check out Dave's channel, Vlog Dave, and check out the other links I'll put in the video description. And click the little join button next to the subscription button if you want to support this channel. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to get Germanized. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.